Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Megan Duquette. I'm California Relief's Education and Communications Program Manager. And welcome to Learn Over Lunch, which is with Canopy this December. So thank you so much for attending today. You know, we started our Learn Over Lunch back in 2020 as a way for the network to come together for a peer-to-peer learning opportunity that allows network members to find out what folks are doing across the state, learn best practices, and learn some great programs that are happening. You can find out more about our Learn Over Lunch series by going on our website, californiarelief.org/LOL, if you're interested. Today, I have the privilege of introducing you to our friends at Canopy. Paul LaValle is here. He's an environmental educator, and he's going to be sharing more about Canopy's K-12 education model. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Thanks, Megan, for that lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Paul LaValle, and I'm Canopy's environmental educator. I run a lot of our K-12 education programs. As a quick icebreaker today, you're going to be hearing a lot from me, so feel free to unmute and go ahead and answer this question verbally, or you can put it in the chat. But I would love to hear what word comes to mind when you think of environmental education. For me, the word that comes to mind is rejuvenating, both individually for myself, because the programs that I run make me feel happy and rewarded, and honestly, just very valuable experiences with students. But I also see it reflected in the school communities that I service. So I see kids that maybe are having a tough time at school, and then they get to go outside and learn about trees that day. And at the end of our lesson, they may have a bit more energy or just a passion for school. So for me, rejuvenating is what I think of. And I'm seeing a lot of wonderful answers together outside. Curiosity, stewardship, participation. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, so I'm going to be going through our K-12 education model today here at Canopy. We have a lot of lovely Canopy people here in the audience today. So really nice to see them representing us, but I will be running through our education model. So without further ado, I wanted to talk a little bit about Canopy's mission. We're an urban forestry nonprofit here in the Mid-Peninsula. We service North Fair Oaks, Bellhaven, East Palo Alto, and Mountain View. And our mission is to grow the urban tree canopy in the Mid-Peninsula for the benefit of all. Now, the benefit that I'm going to be touching on today is our education programs. I'm really excited to chat through those. And I have been with Canopy since the spring of 2022. Over that time, I have taught about 4,000 students, 234 lessons through our K-12 programs. But before that, I was in our outdoor education realm. I was running environmental education camps here in the South Bay. I then transitioned to an AmeriCorps fellowship with Climate Corps, running a garden education program at Claire Lilienthal up in San Francisco. It was in that program that I kind of realized the value of bringing nature to a school rather than bringing students out to nature and really regreening the school's campus and showing them how we can incorporate nature into their day-to-day lives at the school campus. I saw Canopy do this on such a wonderful scale and in so many different communities that it really attracted me to the environmental educator position. And I've been with them since the spring of 2022. Now, our programs service a lot of different grade levels. I touched on a lot of different communities, so I wanted to kind of run through them really quickly. Our first one is going to be our 2nd through 4th grade lessons that make up the bulk of our K-12 programming. So this is in our elementary school lessons that are during the school day and actually in the classrooms that these students are in on a day-to-day basis. And then our next one's going to be our high school programs. And some of these are in the school during the school day. And we go into health or living skills classrooms. and deliver what we call wellness walks, which are tree walks of high school students' campuses where they actually look at the trees through the lens of not only tree biology and tree facts, but we take a look at the mental health and wellness benefits of trees. And then we have a lot of different informal workshops and educational experiences that we deliver to some of the grade levels that maybe aren't represented here in the 2nd through 4th grade lessons or high school programs. So we do deliver K through 12, but primarily we are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade classrooms and high school classrooms. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about our model that we've used to get into all of these classrooms. What I've heard from a lot of our environmental nonprofits and environmental education programs here in the Mid-Peninsula is that they have all these wonderful programs that really deliver amazing knowledge and experiential programs, but they're having difficulty actually getting into the classroom and getting teachers to sign up for these lessons. So we've had some success over the past 1.5 to 2 years getting teachers to sign up for our lessons, and I wanted to run through the model that we've used to have that success. So when you're initially approaching a school, the most important thing is to build trust. Our teachers are not going to allow you into their school community before they trust you. I've done this through a couple different ways, but we do really need to reframe the model of our environmental education systems from trying to just shove our programs into a community to really hearing from that community and getting to know a community before we actually get involved with them. So some of the ways that I've done this are through initially joining staff meetings with their entire school staff, whether that's the principals, the teachers. Occasionally they have STEM coordinators or other staff members that are involved in their education programs. And I actually present on what our educational programs look like, the benefits they serve, and how we've catered them potentially to a school community. Next, I usually shadow a lesson delivered by one of those staff members I just named. And then look for some feedback on the programs that I've already presented on from that teacher and how those programs may fit into their school community, their classroom, and their students. So my next step is to identify community needs, and that's exactly what we're doing in those feedback sessions. And through this, I've really gotten to learn so much and so much depth from each of the school communities that we work in. I touched on all of the districts that we have built education programs for. And the 13 schools that I work in, each school is so different from the next, and learning from each of them as to what their students need and their school communities are lacking at the moment is truly important to actually delivering your programs. I had a 4th grade class about, I think last spring, that I came in and was showing them a few of our written material for one of our 4th grade lessons. And they let me know that all of their students had just tested in the 1st grade level for the standardized testing on a national level, and that they were feeling so defeated over everything written and literacy based that they really were asking for me to kind of reshift our programs. And this was after teaching this lesson for an entire year to a different district. I felt like I had it down. I felt like, oh goodness, this will just be on autopilot. I'll be good to go. But as soon as I walked into that classroom and actually met with that teacher, they let me know that the system I had been using and had worked in the other districts was just not fit for their school community and their students. So you'll see in the next slide, we actually touch on that lesson, and I'll show you all a little bit about how I shifted that lesson to cater to that school community's needs. The next thing is consistency. So I have been working in these districts for about 2 years now. And what I've really been trying to find ways to show up into these school communities consistently and throughout the year. So We will touch on some after-school programs that I run. I try to have those overlap with some of the same students I'm seeing during the day. There are a lot of informal events that I try to attend within the school community. You can see in the first little bubble in the Build Trust that I was going to a Halloween parade for that particular classroom that morning. That teacher on the left, Jenny, invited me to the Halloween parade. We walked around with the kids. I dressed up as Shrek at the request of Jenny. And we just had a good time, like seeing the rest of the wider school community, the rest of the kids in an informal setting, and they got to see me showing that I care for them. And so I think that's really valuable. And there are a lot of different ways you can do that. I've been to science fairs, back to school nights, smaller events at schools, and really just expressing that you want to go to those has been a huge success for me. I mentioned this to Jenny, I think the year prior, that I wanted to attend more informal school events, and just a year later, she's asking me to come to their Halloween parade. So a really easy way to get into a school community and actually build trust and also get to know them and form those relationships with both the teachers and the students outside of the classroom. So I wanted to show you all what our model looks like in application. A huge part of our model is actually providing a resource for these teachers. We do this through next generation science standards, which are standards that are driving what the teachers are teaching during the day outside of our programs. They are what their lessons are built around, and what teachers need to actually tick off each year as they progress through a year. So we are helping advance their goals and their requirements as teachers by building our lessons around these NGSS standards. This lesson was built with the help of another teacher in one of our service communities. But we have approached them with different lessons that we've had made and asked them if they fit in. But I do really recommend that you all actually meet with any of your school communities you're servicing and see which standards would be particularly helpful to actually deliver to your students. This one is all about how plants survive and grow and eventually respond to threats. So we built a lesson centered around tree defenses in response to pathogens and animals. And on the right here, you can see some students who have built a toilet paper tree model representing how a tree would defend itself against some termites. And so these students have elected to add on some extra bark to this tree, so they have that nice thick bark. And then they've added in some toothpaste to represent some sap that would eventually trap termites. So this was a adaptation to that fourth grade class that I had mentioned in the prior slide that was really down on their literacy skills and overall just feeling the weight of standardized testing. The teacher, we had prior to this activity, we had written out the different ways that trees could respond and just gone outside and looked at some trees. The teacher had asked if we had any non-written based activities that we can incorporate. So we developed this and put it into the lesson, and it's been a huge hit with all of the kids ever since. So just another way for these students to just appreciate the information, but also access the information. You see that we have some visuals there explaining what some of the materials represent for our students that are English bilingual learners. We have translations, and all of these are just really important to actually fit into your school's community needs and address those needs. So yes, these standards can seem very big and scary, but sometimes they can materialize into something really cool, like a toilet paper tree model. So just wanted to share about that. Next, I wanted to touch on some ways that you all can get into the education space without actually going through the teachers and all of the standards. So this could be a way that you could enter the education space if you don't have a dedicated position, or if you just want to kind of try your hand at it. So nature play is something that has motivated a lot of our after school programs. Nature play is basically being outside and around nature, working with nature, You can see in the picture here that we just have some students who have framed elements of trees that they really appreciate or love in popsicle sticks and cling wrap. They're going to go home and hang that in their windowsill so that light can illuminate what they love about a tree. But this was a project that some high school students actually designed for these fourth grade students in an after-school program called our Junior Forester Leaders. And that is a whole nother connection that I can dive into at another time. But nature play is what motivates that program. And studies have shown that students that are outside and experiencing nature play have an increase in pro-environmental behaviors, emotional connections to nature, social skills, self-esteem, and I didn't put on here, but grades and also health, overall health. So, and in a really important quote that has also driven this program is that time in nature during childhood and role models who care for nature are the two biggest factors that contribute to environmental stewardship in adulthood. So I think that's just so important to be outside and be around adults that just have a care for nature. And I think it's just really indicative of the ease in which you can show these students a good experience in nature. It doesn't necessarily have to be standard-based and standard-driven. For this, we were just doing an art project outside, and these students, you can clearly see, are having a great time. This is our after-school program called the Junior Forester Leadership Program. It runs every Tuesday at 2 of our elementary schools for about an hour. It's designed by high school students at a local high school, and they actually come in and I'm teaching them how to teach environmental education programs. So there's a lot of multifaceted benefits there. But what I do want to highlight is that our after-school programs are great in for a school community. A lot of these after-school programs don't have a lot of enrichments that come in and actually bring them outside, show them a unique experience, and so they're looking and they're searching for programs like ours to actually come in and give them materials. So they have a lot more time than our teachers during the day, and they're a great into a school community. In fact, I've had some schools that I've taught at with our Junior Forester Leadership Program that I've had a ton of difficulty getting teachers to sign up for lessons with. But it was through the after-school program and through the students that participated in those programs that motivated the teachers to eventually sign up for our in-school lessons. So all those third graders that we taught after school were bugging their third grade teacher during the day to sign up for our lessons, and we eventually got into the classroom, which was really wonderful. And we now have a great standing relationship with that school. So all this to say that after-school coordinators are a great way to actually get into a school community. And then if all of this sounds way too daunting for you, you don't have a dedicated position, it seems like a lot of work, tablings are a really great low lift way to incorporate education into your programs and into your events. On the left here, we have a scavenger hunt that we recently designed for our program this past Saturday. That outlines some benefits of trees while we were doing a tree care event. So students were going around and they could look at a benefit of trees and then stamp a passport that showed that they got to their station, and then they would get a clue to the next tree, read about a new benefit of trees, and then stamp their passport. And they had to complete their scavenger hunt passport and learn about all the different benefits of trees to get a small little prize. So that was something that was actually run by volunteers, and a really great way to incorporate volunteers in things that maybe aren't as labor intensive as tree care or tree planting. We have a lot of older volunteers who are not able to participate in those things anymore, but we were able to still engage with them because we had these low lift education events as well. On the right, we have some word searches that I created just to hand out at some of our events. We have varying degrees of difficulty for high school, middle school, and elementary school. This is our high school one. And this is just a quick one-pager I can send with, say, our volunteer coordinator as she tables at a local event that I actually don't have to be present for, but we are able to incorporate an educational piece. I want to name that. I did like create these and throw some quick plugs of tree animations in, but these do exist online for either really low costs or free. So you don't necessarily have to try your hand at graphic design, but you can definitely find these small educational resources online and just give them a go at a tabling or an event that you have coming up. I want to say thank you for everyone for listening. This has been our model, and we hope that it is helpful in any way, shape, or form, or helps guide you towards a successful model of your own. Feel free to contact myself if you want to connect about any of these programs or just have questions about some of the tips and tricks in terms of contacting school staff or how we've been successful. I also have our education director, Allie's email up here and contact information. You can reach out to her as well. Thank you, everybody.